The hosts and guests on Everything's Messy podcast are not licensed healthcare professionals. The discussions in our episodes are not personalized medical advice. Always consult a qualified healthcare provider for medical guidance. Never delay seeking professional medical advice or emergency assistance because of our podcast. We encourage consulting with a healthcare professional before making any significant health changes. By listening to our podcast, you agree to the disclaimer. Thank you for listening to Everything's Messy podcast. Hey, welcome to Everything's Messy podcast, where we celebrate the beautiful but messy life experiences that most, if not all, people go through. Get ready to embark on an exciting journey through the raw and unfiltered stories of everyday people. Here, we dive into messy realities of life, from making messy mistakes to triumphs and everything in between. Are you sensing a theme? That's right, it's messy. But this just isn't about the mess. It's about finding strength and resilience in the midst of it all. We'll explore how health, fitness, and wellness play a crucial role in navigating life's twists and very messy turns. And we'll challenge conventional systems, because sometimes the most unconventional paths lead to the greatest discoveries. Join us as we embrace the messy, beautiful, and endlessly fascinating stories. Each episode is a testament to the power of our messy journeys and the beauty that emerges from the mess. So grab your favorite beverage, coffee, sparkling water, whatever it may be, and prepare to be inspired. Are you ready? Let's get messy. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Everything's Messy podcast. I am your messy host, Sarah. Joining me today, I have Kelsey Lynn Stokes. I'm really excited. She's a fellow T1D Badass, can we say. She has a messy story, and I reached out to her on TikTok, and that can always be scary. So I'm really glad that she was able to kind of see through the bad stuff and realize that, you know, I want to promote her and her messy story, and just having another T1D to represent. I'm just so excited. So welcome, Kelsey.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for being here. So you have been diabetic 21 years?
21 years in June, yeah. I think I'm going to throw her like a 21st birthday party.
I love that.
Yeah, I feel like she deserves one. My 21st birthday was kind of lame, so yeah. I feel like a solid do-over.
Definitely. You know, I think it's, for me, I'm now 31 years. The celebrating like the diaversaries and stuff is kind of new for me. I think when I was diagnosed, they didn't have any, like there was no PR campaign. There was no support. There was no, like, it was awful. So I get really excited as I get older, seeing, you know, especially newly diagnosed diabetics that actually get to be celebrated. And this isn't, you know, going to wreck your life, as I was told. I mean, basically, I was told, here, steel magnolias, follow what you can.
Yikes. Oh no. I was definitely told like within 10 years you will have complications. And when I was diagnosed at 13 and looking forward to your early 20s with health problems is a really scary thing to say to a child.
Right. Right. Yep.
I'm 21 years in June and I have no complications. I got my eyes checked last year. They said there's no evidence of diabetes in your eyes. My last A1C was 6.3, and it's taken me all of those 20 years to get there. Like, I definitely was not there when I was a child and even in my 20s. So it takes time to get there. But I think with all of the new tech,
yes,
it's supportive of living a long and healthy life. And I want to shout that from the mountaintops so that other 13-year-olds being diagnosed today, tomorrow.
It's not a death sentence.
It's
right.
not.
And I was told, watch your kidneys. And I was told basically also, you know, don't have children. So for the longest time, I was afraid to have children. And it's come such a long way. It really has. And I'm glad that it's being highlighted in a positive way. People are living long and full lives. And we need that so much, you know, even as older T1Ds, you know, a lot of emphasis is given to the younger ones, and they absolutely need it. But there's old ones out here too. They're like, hello.
There's a lovely lady who always comments on my TikTok, and her name's Carol, and she is T1D 50 years as of last Christmas. So
give it up for Carol.
A shout out to Carol. Like, even that for me is like really reassuring to know that, like, okay, like as long as you're doing your due diligence and you're taking care of yourself and you care about your management, like there is a long life ahead of you, and it is really possible to live a long, healthy life. Type 1 day.
Yes. I did not. My journey with trying to control it was long coming. I was a rebellious teenager. I was diabulimic for a while. I did not want any of that, and of course that led to my heart attack. So that
Oh,
was
no.
a side effect, if you will, that I had to, because it wasn't from high blood pressure or high cholesterol. It was strictly uncontrolled blood sugar and copious amounts of stress. So I'm on the journey of wellness from that. And I hope that I can talk to others that'll just be like, okay, here's a complication, but you can do it. It's okay.
Yeah, and you can recover from like not all complications, but you can recover from a complication and like not necessarily start back at square one, but move forward in a way that like, okay, I need to treat this as serious as it is, but also realize that it doesn't have to be all
Right. Right.
things.
So can I ask, before we kind of get started into your messy story, what's your favorite technological piece for your diabetes?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm on the Medtronic 780G system with the instinct sensor now. I've had some trials and tribulations with the instinct sensor, but as of the moment, I think I actually am going to stay on it. But my favorite piece of tech and control and management is the auto bolus feature. Because prior to 2 years ago, maybe, like sleeping through the night and waking up with a blood sugar that was like 110 or 120, like was unheard of.
Yeah.
Like if you go to bed with a blood sugar of 400, you're waking up with it over 400. It's not
100%.
overnight. And because it used to just be like the basal increments shifting, I just find that new innovation has grossly changed how good my blood sugar is, how good I feel in the morning, and the trust that I have in my tech, in the like going to bed, whether I'm 120 or like 300, which doesn't happen very often.
Sure.
But so I know that when I wake up in the morning, I'm going to be 120, like no matter what.
That's a game changer. That's a 100% game changer.
And you sleep so much better when your blood sugar is better. Like if
you do everything better.
You do everything. Truly. Yeah.
No. So why don't you share with the messy audience kind of your messy journey and where that started and kind of the things that you have had to deal with going through that?
Sure. So my diabetes story is a little crazy. So I grew up, I'm Canadian. I was born in Canada. And when I was 11 years old, I moved overseas to Dubai. My dad was an airline pilot. After 9/11, he lost his job in Canada. He was like stranded in India for a time and then decided, because he grew up in Germany, he wanted to take his family overseas and have that like third culture experience. And it seemed like the right opportunity to do so. But that meant 2 years later, I'm 13 years old and I get diagnosed in Dubai. And anyone who has visited or knows anything about the country, like it's a rather opulent country. It is one where people do take great joy in eating and going out to eat and like really, really rich foods. And so at least when I was there in 2005, like the understanding of diabetes was heavily on type 2 and not on type 1. So I didn't really get a lot of support right off the get-go. My mom was an RN in the military, so she actually noticed kind of a lot of my symptoms before maybe a parent who wasn't involved in the healthcare industry would notice. So I was really lucky that like I didn't go into a coma. I didn't lose a lot of weight. Like I was really on the like super thirsty, peeing all the time, kind of getting shaky, and like started getting C's in math, which was weird because I was a straight A student.
Wow.
And because I got the C's in math, then I started getting detention. And like it, like as a very much goody two shoes child, like all of a sudden things kind of started unraveling. And my mom is like, "What is going on with you? Like,
yeah,
you're not doing any of these on purpose. It would seem like you don't have any kind of thing that you're rebelling after." So it was a little bit strange for her. So she took me in, asked to check my blood sugar, and they were like, "She's fine." And then, excuse me, by the time my blood work came back, they were like, "Yeah, you need to bring her in right now. Like her blood sugar is over 800." And I was literally like half deep in a chocolate milk and a grilled cheese, being like, "Can I?" And my mom was, "Yeah, just it's fine, finish it."
yeah.
But the beginning of my diabetic care was very much like heavily based on like, these are your ratios, these are your dosages, and this is how much food you have to eat. And at 13, they were telling me to eat 60 to 70 carbs a meal. And I rarely do that now as an adult. So like as a maybe like 110-pound, like 13-year-old, I was like, I cannot eat all this food. Like, this is insane. And I gained a ton of weight at the beginning of my diagnosis. And not because I was like regaining my regular weight, but it was
Is all extra. Yeah.
so much food. And I was like, I just don't want to eat this much food. So the beginning of my care too was like really touch and go. My mom is an angel and, was trying to pay attention, and she was also trying not to be the helicopter parent, but like I could tell she was stressed about it a lot. And she did my shots for the first 3 days, and then I took over and did it from there. But because of that, she was doing the like, I trust that you're taking care of yourself, but like I was sort of kind of going rogue in a lot of ways. I didn't trust the nutritionist. I didn't trust the doctors. I didn't trust a lot of the things because it wasn't working for me, and they weren't tailoring it to how I wanted to live my life. They also,
and again, going back to, it's heavily laden with type 2 issues, and that's their education. That's not what we deal with.
No. And, I would go over to friends' houses and their moms would like snatch the bread basket away and be like, you can't have bread. And I'm like, what? Like, no, not what this is. So yeah, that was a little tough. I lived there for 4 more years with the diagnosis, and then I moved to New York City. So cut to a little bit later in my life. Again, not the best controlled in my late teens, early 20s. I moved here when I was 17. I went to an acting conservatory. I did the like hustle and grind culture of an artist living in New York City, which you do, you work crazy jobs. You're just trying to scrape by. You're eating pizza and ramen, like not
right.
diabetic. And I did not know what I was doing wrong, but I knew that it wasn't working. And I was really just like doing what I could to get somewhere in the realm. But I was definitely in like the 8s for A1Cs and like not doing great. But I also had an endocrinologist who would say, how are you doing? And I'd say, I don't know, fine. And he'd go, okay. And wouldn't change anything. So I also didn't kind of have someone calling me on my shit, like for a better term. And even now as, a 34-year-old adult, like when I go to seek healthcare, I'm like, you need to tell me when I'm like fibbing to you. Like, you can't just trust my word. Like, very self-aware individual, but at the same time, like if my lab work doesn't match my story, trust my lab work. I'm telling you. Like, I'm not a pathological liar, but like, are you good? And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. But my blood work says I'm not good. Like, don't trust me. Like, go with that.
Yeah.
So that comes to kind of the climax of my messy story. Whereas I went through a really bad breakup. I ran the New York City Marathon, and then I collapsed. I had no pain throughout any of my training for the marathon, which is
how long did you train?
Like 7 months.
That's great. Was it something you'd always wanted to do? And were you like, diabetes be damned, I'm doing this? Or did you just see it one day and you're like, I think I want to do it?
It was a couple of things. It was definitely, because I was diabetic, I had done a half marathon with this JDRF when they were called JDRF. And I sort of found this newfound sense of like, oh, if I put my mind to something really, really hard and scary, I can do it. So there definitely was an element of that. And there was also an element of like, in my life, because I always felt like I had a clock on my life, I've strived to do things and achieve things kind of harder and faster and more than other people, but more for my own sense of validation. So I published a book when I was 17, I moved to New York City to be an actor because I was like, that's hard, let's do it. I did stand-up comedy twice because it seemed scary and I just wanted to overcome that. So the marathon was sort of the next item in line of those things. And also, it was like involved in the ex that broke up with me, and I kind of wanted to do it just to not only prove to myself, but to prove to like other people that I'm like, this is not the thing that's going to take me out. Tuberculosis was.
Wow.
So in all of my training, the marathon is in November. It's the first Sunday in November in New York City. Gosh, like I felt fine. I did an 18-mile run from like Midtown to Staten Island and back. Like I ran way down to the tip of Manhattan. I got on the ferry. I ran like 6 more miles in Staten Island, and then I ran all the way back home after.
And are you like carrying juice boxes by like what are you?
No, not quite.
Or is it the goo? Like all
yeah,
shoved
a
in your
lot of goo.
pockets?
So I had these like Lululemon bike shorts with like deep pockets on both sides, and there would be like probably like 5 or 6 gels for a 17-mile run. But also like you're in New York City, like there's a bodega everywhere. So I'd also just bring like my card and money. And if I really, really ran out of gels, I would just stop and go get a juice somewhere. So that is a really nice thing about running in the city, is that like there's juice everywhere. You have money. So that's a good.
That's good.
But yeah, I finished the race, or I did not have any pain leading up to the race. And then during the race, I would say 3 miles into it, so like on the bridge. So the first piece of the whole thing, I literally felt like someone had just jammed a knitting needle through my chest. And I was like, that's not a feeling I've ever felt before. That kind of sucks. But, you know, you've worked months and months leading up to this moment. And I just kind of like, I think I got to mile 8 or 9 before I texted my brother. My brother had come from Canada to watch me run. And I was like, I think something's really wrong. And he was like, okay, well, I'm at mile 16. So like, meet me there and we can talk about it. And I was like, okay, 8 more miles. Okay. I got to mile 16, and there are photos of me just like doing this. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it's like, it's very clear that like the pain was very central to my chest and like very high up. And it just like, I could not take a deep breath. And from about the 16-mile race to the end of the race got really, really tough. It was a huge mental battle for me because I couldn't run very fast. So I was getting cold. So then it was just like, and then it started getting dark, and then you start feeling bad because you're like, oh my God, I'm going to be the last person that finishes this race in the middle of the night. You know what I mean? And it's just such an emotional journey, and a marathon is an emotional journey.
Right.
And then you add this thing that you have no idea that's happening to you on top of that. So I finished the race. It took me like 6.5 hours, but I finished it. And I sat down at a bar to eat, I think, a bowl of soup, and I like couldn't bend over. And someone gave me a straw to drink my chicken noodles.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Got out of the bar, and I was like to my brother, I was like, I don't think I'm okay. And he was like, okay, like we'll get you into bed. And I had a loft bed at the time, and I couldn't climb up the stairs to my loft bed. So he like.
And are you thinking like, I'm just, exhausted, stressed, I push my body to the max, or like, what are you thinking?
I don't know. It's sort of in the back of my head. I'm like, it sort of felt like I was having a heart attack, but also there was no kind of acute thing, and I kept being able to function. So I was like, I really don't know what's going on, but. Sure enough, I slept overnight. I woke up. I had the same feeling and sensation, like I couldn't take a deep breath. And I went to like the City MD around the corner, and they took an X-ray, and they were like, "You haven't ingested any like large balls, have you?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
Not to my knowledge.
But then they were like, "Have you ever been to the Middle East?" And I'm like, yeah, I lived there for 6 years. And they're like, oh, you might have like a special spore growing in your lung kind of thing. And I'm like, okay, what do we do? And they're like, oh, sorry, we had to shut the City MD down, and you have to go to the hospital. And it was like not an option. They're like, you're officially like a public health hazard, and we had to like shut you away. Like I sort of went to like hospital jail.
Oh my gosh.
That was really, really scary.
Yeah.
This was also November 6th, 2016. So I'm in hospital jail, and then the rest of the world gets some fairly bad news that day or the next day. And it was just a really dark couple of weeks. And I was not allowed to leave the hospital until I had cleared certain tests. That took, I think, 12 days before I was like released. And then they had not taken great care of my diabetes during the TB time. So they'd sort of been so excited about this weird, rare thing that I had.
Sure.
Not about the sort of mundane thing that I had. And because of that, I was actually back in the hospital with DKA 5 days later.
Oh my gosh.
They had forgotten to hydrate me. They had never mentioned that, like, hey, by the way, these drugs we're giving you for this thing are
It's going to spike your blood sugar.
Like, my blood sugar keeps me super dehydrated, basically, like, tax out my kidneys and my liver. Like, it was...
Because they're just treating that system or that issue instead of the whole person. Oh my gosh. Okay, wait. Can we just take a minute though and say,
Yeah.
holy shit, you not only started the marathon, then you have pain, then you finish the freaking marathon. Let's just take a minute and celebrate that, okay?
Yeah.
Like, that was amazing. And did you have, like, were you paying attention to blood sugar during it? Was it okay then?
Oh yeah, it's funny. The one thing so overshadowed the other thing, but yeah, like as a type 1 diabetic, I ran the New York City Marathon and I like crushed it. I wouldn't say my blood sugars were they were really great for, again, up until about mile 16. And then because my pace slowed and like my strategy of like how fast I was running versus how fast I was hydrating and eating gels and stuff like that went a little kind of haywire. But I remember staying like pretty good in range for the majority of the race. And then the rest of the race, I went a little bit high. But knowing what we know now,
it's okay to be a little high with the exercise that you were going to complete. Yeah.
But also having TB is basically a major infection.
Right.
So years and years and years when I was fighting highs that I had no idea where they were coming from, they were coming from this infection that I had. So I was getting admonished by doctors, you know, who never even thought to think of the fact that like maybe I'm not a brat and maybe I have an underlying infection.
Yeah.
And that's why I can't get my blood sugar below 220 is like no amount of insulin or water or hydration or exercise.
Sure.
Bringing me down sometimes. And it was because of that.
Because simultaneously your body is fighting each thing. It's attacking its own pancreas and it's trying to get rid of whatever this foreign spore is. And you're just, like, that's incredible.
Spores, indeed.
Oh my goodness.
And then once I was healed from the TB, it takes about a year. And for people who are non-diabetic, it takes about 6 months to heal from TB. And then for diabetics, it's a year because we heal a little slower, right? But those drugs are just absolute horrible. I mean, you need them to recover and to live. But for diabetic care, they're really brutal. So once I was healed from the TB and done my medications, like my diabetes became a whole new ballgame in the best way possible. Because I was like, oh, this is what people meant when they could manage it. Just me like swinging and wildly in the dark. I could actually start to see things that were explainable patterns. Like when I took my insulin, it worked. No, it was a huge like before and after of my life. Being a diabetic who is just trying and failing miserably, even though I was paying attention and I did care, to after the fact, you know, actually being able to have a handle on that, even though it's, you know, also sort of a beast of its own.
And they can't teach that. They can't teach that. Individually, we either realize we have to become our own self-advocates, our own self-fighters, really, or we don't, or it takes a life, you know, changing canon event for us to wake up and go, oh, maybe we need to look at this a little seriously.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Thank you. Like since then, it's just been about fine-tuning since then. So, you know, I've done a lot of work and I've done coaching and I've, you know, continued to do little things every day to like, will this make it a little bit better? And I think when you can kind of get to that like magnifying glass of like getting tighter and tighter and tighter with all of your habits that you've built into your life.
Sure. Take us back to the moment though, if you don't mind, as you're scared, you're now this public threat, you have type 1 that you're also having to deal with. Take us back to your mindset, and then following that, what kind of like brings you out of that?
Oh gosh. The mindset was really just like I was terrified of not getting out of there, like having this be kind of the end of my chapter, and that was a lot going through my head. And it's funny, in my work today, a lot of people say like, oh, like you went from being an actor to not an actor. Like, what, why? And I'm like, I got really sick. And it wasn't me being sick so that I couldn't do it anymore. It was me getting sick and realizing that like leaving my destiny and my fate up to other people was no longer the choice I wanted to make. So I shifted gears a little bit. I'm still in the same industry, but I'm just in a different position. And I feel like I'm definitely in a spot where I feel like I can make a lot more creative choices. And I feel like I am hired for the value that I provide and the service that I provide, as opposed to, before I can confidently say I was a great actor. I got cast in things. I starred in movies, but I just stopped wanting it to be left up to somebody else if I got to work. So that was a big difference for me. And then in terms of mindset afterwards, gosh, it was, I sort of had a new lease on life.
Of course. Of course. And it's so hard. I think, when I speak about myself and my journey, it's like I had a moment, a very dark moment, and it was like, okay, I had to choose. I'm not going to be a victim. I'm not going to let this take me out. I'm going to fight as much as because I am scrappy. I am a fighter. But it literally had to be a conscious decision of what I can do going forward.
Absolutely. Yeah, totally. What was really interesting and kind of exciting to me is coming out the other side of it a year later. I kept texting people and being like, is this what having energy feels like?
Yeah.
I did not know that it wasn't normal for someone who is my age. I mean, this happened when I was about 25. Yeah, 25, because 2026, 2016. I didn't know it wasn't normal for someone who is in their mid-20s to not wake up, go to work, maybe go to a workout class. I was working at Lululemon, so that was like highly encouraged. And we would go as groups and stuff like that. But then just come home and pass out and go to sleep.
Yeah.
Like not be able to wake up and like rally and go kind of out with my friends and stuff.
Yeah, there's no rallying. I remember thinking I didn't realize how sick I was until I was better.
Yeah, exactly. That's the same experience I had.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're just searching in your brain, like, what is this new normal almost? Like, what's happening? You like it, but you're also kind of, or at least I was a little scared and like timid about it, because it was like, this isn't what I know.
Yeah. I mean, I found it really exciting because I felt like my life opened up a lot more. Like, in the year prior to me getting married, I was waking up at 5 a.m. I was going to a 6 a.m. Orange Theory class. I was then going to work 12 to 14 hours on a film set. And then I was going home and like able to like have dinner and chat with my husband before going to bed and doing it all over again. And I'm like, I was living maybe a quarter of that life before I was diagnosed and while I was very, very sick. And it's sad for me because it was like my early 20s, like the time that you're supposed to.
Sure. Yeah.
And I was just hanging on by a thread. And I was still doing a lot of things, but there's a lot of photos of me sleeping in weird places from that year. Let's just say that.
But it sounds like your mental toughness, your grit, your determination, you kept pushing yourself. You didn't allow yourself to quit. You were still set on the things and your dreams that you wanted to do. That says a lot, I think. And I think I don't want to say general population, but people who are not touched or do not know anything about T1D, we are a special group of people that do have tenacity and determination, and we're not quitters. And it'd be nice if people knew that.
Definitely. I mean, so that's a great segue into why I even joined TikTok. I'm a grouchy millennial and I didn't want to join during the pandemic because I was like, what do we need to watch people dance for? I'll see it on Instagram in 2 weeks. Like, I'll see it there. But I did want to start showcasing like what it is like to go through this. Like, it broke my heart kind of logging on and seeing people who were just so desperately struggling and like had poor mindset, had like a very victimhood mindset, like couldn't piece together what were to me like seemingly like basic issues in terms of, like, I'm taking my insulin here and I'm spiking here. And I'm like, okay, well, it's obviously this. Like, I wanted to jump on there and be like, okay, these are all the habits that like I've integrated into my life so that like if one person, across the globe in like Europe or Australia sees that and they're like, that's a great idea, and their life improves because of one weird thing that I'm doing, like, all the power to you. That's
absolutely. If it just changes one person. That's absolutely how I feel too. And I think also too, even if they're not going to mimic you or maybe do what you're doing, it makes them aware of their own journey and what maybe they need to focus on for them. And that is what I hope and pray that people will see that and be like, I can do it, whatever that is.
I joined coaching for type 1 diabetes. I took the Risley Health one-on-one coaching because I saw Lauren Buongiorno on her Instagram, doing well. And it sounds silly, but like up until that point, I had not had an example of someone in my life who was like living a happy, healthy, active lifestyle.
100%. 100%.
Being their A1C under 6.5. Yeah. So it really does, like, you need to see it to believe it and believe that you're capable of it. And then if those people are like sharing tips and tricks along the way or coaching, like, do it.
Yeah, 100%. No, 100%. So talk to us a little bit about this line that you created for T1Ds. That is just something that caught my eye about you. Spoke about it because, again, it's representation and it's something that most people take for granted. And we find these ways to overcome, but just to have you recognize it and bring it to the forefront, amazing. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So the way that our company kind of started is that I was looking for a dress for my co-founder's wedding. She was getting married in Italy in this like dream castle, off of Lake Como. It was like really, really gorgeous. And I was actually in the groom's party. Her husband and I have been friends since the very first movie that I've done. So we were co-leads in that movie. And I was also at a time in my life where, my kind of general uniform was either jeans or Lululemon leggings, because those are the two things that my insulin pump could go in like safely and securely and not get knocked around in New York City. I could walk around all day and I knew that it wasn't going anywhere. But I was coming to a point where I was like kind of wanting to lean into my more feminine side or, embrace like skirts and dresses more, just have them as an option. So, I went to her wedding with this dress, like super picked out for the groom's party. Obviously, it had to be a certain color. It had it wasn't like a pocket sewn in, but like there was like a nice little shelf like in the high neck where I could keep my insulin pump. And I took the train from Milan to Venice and I left my garment bag on the train. I'd never traveled with a garment bag, and I was going to the Venice Film Festival to see some films and then to the wedding. So I got 4 beautiful dresses in a garment bag. I was like, look at me, I'm an adult with a garment bag. And I left it behind.
Oh, no.
Hotel room. And I was like, 1, 2. I had a third thing. I run back to the train. It's gone. There's no lost and found. And I'm like, what do you mean there's no lost and found? And some
like just take your bag?
I guess. I hope whoever has my dresses is bring them because I never got to. So after that experience, her mom, bless her heart, is, a size 4 and had a navy dress, but it was like a very plain, like pocketless, shapeless tube dress. And I spent the majority of her wedding, like sticking my insulin pump in the underwear of my pants or underwear under my skirt and like taking it in and out. And this is before I had like the silent auto bolus mode.
Sure.
Take it out a lot. And I just remember feeling so mortified that like, in this big event that's supposed to be like dignified and classy and there's eyes on you because you're in the wedding party and, you also just like want to feel dreamy and cute about being in this like Italian castle. Like here I am like scooping up my dress to my underpants all night long. And it was like the breaking point for me where I was like, I feel miserable about this. There has to be a better option. And up until that point, I had explored other options. I'd bought the things on Amazon. I'd bought, the thigh thing, which had like a suspender.
Sure. The handmade stuff on Etsy, which is, some of that's great, but it's hard. It's hard.
Hard. Yeah, because it's doing the bare minimum of what you need to do, but it doesn't mean that it's functional and it doesn't mean that it's attractive. So my co-founder Francesca and I set out on this journey to create something that addressed all those issues that I had personally had. One of them being that like bubbling situation that happens because the ones on Amazon have like a strand of elastic and a strand of elastic. And if you put that on your thigh, if you are a slim person or not a slim person, like that is making the leg look really weird. And it also means that like that's a one size situation.
Sure.
pull it up as far as it goes. And if you want to dance around and like be at a concert or like dance at a wedding, it's sliding down your leg and you're going to lose it.
100%.
And then you have to be like kind of like pulling up this garter on your leg and like trying to find where your insulin pump swung off to. So that's a big one for us. Adjustability. So we added like a hook and eye closure, like a bra, so that you can. I have personally like lost and gained about 30 pounds over the course of the 5 years, and I'm still wearing the same one. So it just goes to show you that like it doesn't matter if you gain weight, it doesn't matter if you lose weight, like you can still use the same piece. So we've really built them to last. A lot of people, kind of call our price point, but we compare it to like having a great bra. Like
Sure.
you don't wear a cheap bra and be uncomfortable all day. You want to have, an investment into one thing that is a really great thing and then have that last and be able to rely on that one thing. So
Right.
yeah.
And so tell everybody what the name of the company is.
Yeah, it's Calicanthus lingerie. Calicanthus. It's like the genus of a plant that's called sweet shrub. So we thought that was a little nice little diabetes, and it's also
yeah.
it's the same word in Italian and English. So my co-founder is Italian. So
That's so neat. I love that so much. That's great. And you had mentioned, I'm so curious, the movie that you had done with the friend and the wedding. What was the name of the movie?
oh gosh, it's called April Grace. I don't even think it's available
No.
streamer, but gosh, I was 19 when we did that movie, and it was kind of the first big movie for a lot of us. But we submitted to Sundance, and they actually wrote to us, and they're like, "Hey, you had some sound issues, but otherwise this would have been accepted." And that was like a really big loss early on. So, but it's a really sweet movie of like these two best friends, and the guy is yearning after the pretty girl who moves to town, all the while not realizing that his best friend is like so in love with her, but like just doesn't realize it because they're kids. And yeah, it's a really sweet story.
I love that. And you also mentioned comedy. Do you have any plans to go back and to do stand-up or anything?
No, my husband makes fun of me all the time because I bring it up because it was such a scary thing to do. Like, to go on or to be on a film set or to go on stage, like you're saying the lines that somebody else wrote. So there's no kind of like there's vulnerability, of course, because you're being seen and perceived. But the vulnerability of telling your own stories with the intent to make people laugh is like truly feels like one of the most horrific things ever.
Sure.
And I really just wanted to do it and kind of like have it be one of those bucket list items. So I did it twice. I think once at Gotham. No, twice. I did twice at Gotham Comedy Club, but years ago. And my set was on diabetes because they said, make it authentic.
Do what you know. Yep.
Yeah, make it something. And like we all had some content, I'm sure, because everyone has, the weird and crazy things people say to you. And
yes.
My grandfather always really wanted to like tell me about his experiences with his blood sugar as a non-diabetic in order to relate with me. So my set was generally revolving around.
I love that though. That's actually sweet. He's trying to connect with you. Oh.
Yeah. He loves to tell me how normal his blood sugar was. And I'm like, cool.
Good for you.
That actually makes a lot of sense. So I'm glad. I'm happy for you.
That's amazing. So you've got the Calicanthus, you're doing TikTok. Anything else that you've got on the fire burning?
Oh gosh, yes. I'm writing both a short film and a feature-length film that both have elements of diabetes in them.
Yes.
Correct.
More representation.
Yeah, totally. So, I love that Kelsey Bascom is doing her work with films and diabetes, and I know that there's been other films that kind of touch on it a little bit more. And Scrubs just rebooted, and like Turk's character was diabetic, and now he's like wearing an Omnipod, and I love that.
I love it.
Yeah, I think that there's still kind of like some things to explore and discover, and to show people, how we make it seem really easy living our lives, and not necessarily like showing all the dark spaces of it, but I think that I have a story that really like shows you like how quickly things can turn.
Sure.
And like how like a really simple scenario could actually be like quite life-threatening. So
Right. Well, and I love a lot of the content that I've seen you do, which I love your content. But when you talk about, burnout, here we've kind of emphasized all of the great things that have come out of it. And that's one, and I want to showcase that. But, burnout, and it's different for everyone, but the underlying theme is just we don't get a break. We don't get a break.
yeah, and it's tough, and it's very much like put your oxygen mask on first. So that post that you're relating to, like I had realized that I was like, wow, I sat down to make, a video or make a TikTok for someone else, but I was like, I have nothing to give today, and I need people to know that that's a reality too, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And you don't always have to be in service of others if you are in need of help yourself. So if it is really about you sitting down and like spending that time taking care of yourself and making sure that like your cup is full, your oxygen mask is on, like that's more important than the algorithm, babes.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
like it really is. It's something that people need to prioritize.
Yeah. Well, and just when you were like, it's okay. It's okay to not be at 100%, and it's sort of that battle inside, or at least with me, it's, I want to be 100%. I want to do all these things. There's so many things I want to get accomplished today. But then there's the physical part where your body's like, not today. That's not happening.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, what we were saying at the beginning, like when you wake up and your blood sugar has been great all night and you can do a million things, it's like the opposite is true too. If you have a bad diabetes day or night, like you cannot function. And it like doesn't, it doesn't help you or the people around you to be like, I'm fine. I'm just going to push like,
Right.
through this. Like it's important to be like, hey, like I need I mean, before this call, I was like, hey, I need 15 minutes because I had when I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'm zonked out right now and I just need to kind of get back to my version of normal, or otherwise like I can, be myself.
Well, and I think I've seen it probably in the last 5 years, maybe even shorter than that. People are starting to talk about recovery time from a really high or a really low. And I don't think, some of these videos that I've seen where, they're still laying on the floor, they can't get up yet, stuff like that. And, we're talking extreme, but even the ones that, you're hovering at 260, 280, but it's been a long time that you're hovering at that. And then once it corrects, you're like, I feel like I've been hit by a truck. And I just think talking about that recovery time, that's people need to.
Yeah, absolutely. It shouldn't just be like, oh, you're good. The numbers good now. They were good to go. Like, yeah.
It takes it out of us for sure. Yeah. Did you get the Barbie doll?
I didn't. I looked
didn't?
for it. I did not. I entered some raffles to win one. I did look because I happened to be like shopping for my niece at that point. So I actually was in like a Barbie doll situation. They didn't have it, but
Yeah, I was so excited to just see that. Again, talking about representation, it was like the little girl inside of me was like, oh my gosh. And I know it's such a stupid thing in hindsight as far as being an adult and wanting it, but thinking
it's stupid at all. No, I think it's incredibly validating. Yeah.
No, I loved it. I was so excited to get mine. I did a whole thing on it, and I hope that they can continue to do representation for the guys too. They need something. They may not know they need something, but they do. We all want to be connected and represented, I think.
Absolutely. I think one thing that the guys have that, I know that there are women in sports with T1D, but I feel like the guys have like the football players and the hockey players, and like they have kind of like there's more eyes on men's sports in general, which luckily is starting to shift a little bit. But off the bat, like when you watch the Super Bowl, it's like an ad with Nick Jonas, and then it's like the two guys that are type 1 diabetic, and I'm like, okay, the guys have their superheroes, like the girls needed.
They do.
Yeah.
Shout out for Barbie for sure. Well, Kelsey, this has been absolutely amazing. I'm so incredibly grateful that you wanted to come on Everything's Messy and share your messy story. Where can everybody find you?
Oh, yes. Okay. So my personal handle is The Wandering Diabetic, and that's on Instagram and TikTok. And then my company is Calicanthus Lingerie. And this is how you spell it, and we'll link it as well.
Yeah. That's wonderful. Again, thank you so much, and the best of luck to everything that you're doing. And I hope maybe we can have you on again and talk about the future things that you're doing. And again, just thank you so much for coming on.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to Everything's Messy podcast. Whew, if you made it this far, give yourself a gold star or at least a nap. Honestly, if you showed up today and you were listening, you've already crushed it. I'm so grateful for you listening. If anything hit home, share it, tag me, write it on a sticky note. I don't care. Just don't keep all of this messy goodness to yourself. You can find me on Instagram at Everything's Messy Wellness or over at my website, everythingsmessywellness.com, where I've got resources, coaching, and probably a new rant about blood sugar or something that's just nonsense. It's all waiting for you. Check out my YouTube channel. I've got all of my podcast episodes up there. And I'm on X at Everything's Mess. Or if you just want to send me an email, Sarah at everythingsmessywellness.com. Look, until next time, hydrate, take no crap, and as always, keep it messy.